His Divine Grace Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki Jai, Ananda Koti Vaishnavadinda ki Jai, Lord Premanand. Could you move this forward? It's easier that way. A little different than Friday and Saturday. Some of you were here for Friday and Saturday. I wasn't here, but I saw pictures and jam-packed. But the party's not over. very important and celebrated verse from Bhagavad Gita. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha chakradeham punar janma naiti mamiti sarjuna. The birth of Krishna and his transcendental pastimes, his activities, are a mystery. They're transcendental, divyam, very similar to the English word divine. And just by understanding the nature of those appearance and activities of Krishna, Purnar Janma Na, one's birth and death cycle, broken, nashta. So that's really important to understand. And that also means that the understanding isn't easily accessible, it's not materially accessible, it's spiritually accessible. And we're going to hear something about that mystery. Compliments of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now in Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear about the appearance of Krishna in the prison house of Kamsa. Looks like a pretty gorgeous prison house, doesn't it? There's the Vasudeva Krishna form that appeared, 4 arms. I believe there's some mothers here, and I don't think your children looked like that when they took birth. A little different. Full stature, wearing crown and ornaments and jewelry and fresh garlands and conch club distant lotus in his 4 hands, effulgent, just appeared like that. And Vasudeva and Devaki offered beautiful prayers. Among Devaki's prayers, she requested something very irrational. The irrational request was, can you assume a childlike form? Because when Kamsa finds out that my 8th child is born, he'll come and try to kill you. She's looking at Vishnu. She knows it's Vishnu. Who can kill Vishnu? Even Kamsa. But if you assume a childlike form, then maybe we can hide you and he won't find you. Really, really nice. Very rational. But it's totally devotional. Because her mood is the mood of parental affection. Vatsalya rasa, parental affection. So, Krishna assumed a little childlike form. But before he assumed a childlike form, he replied to their prayers. And among other things, he requested, after I assumed a childlike form, although it's midnight, and although it's a big storm, which means it's the 8th day of the waxing moon, waning moon anyways, because Balam's appearance is on the Purnima of the month of Shravan. And this is now the month of Bhadra. So from the full moon, it's 8 days into the waning moon. Not a very bright moon, but it's a stormy night, so the sky is completely cloudy. And anyways, there's no light coming from the sky. It's midnight, in the middle of the night. Please take me on the other side of the river Jamuna, although there's big waves and big stormy, take me on the other side of the river Jamuna and place me by the side of Mother Yashoda and bring back the female child by your side. There's more details, but Krishna made that request. And although it's parental affection from Vasudeva and Devaki, they just simply, they have love and they want to serve. Whatever the rasa is, One has love, and another wants to serve. So at Krishna's request, that's what they did. And they carried Krishna to the other side of the river Yamuna, or Gokul. And Krishna spent a few years with his family in Gokul, and then because of too many demons, Nanda and the elders decided to move back to their ancestral home. Several moves, and eventually to Nandagram. And this is a very beautiful painting, but Krishna, with his cowherd boys, and Balaram, they tended the cows and engaged in agriculture. Krishi, Goraksha, Vanijam, Vaishyakarma Svabhavajam. These are occupations, 3 primary occupations for those who have the Swabhava of a Vaishya, the nature, the psychophysical nature of a Vaishya. There's the 3 occupations. Krishi means agriculture. Go Raksha, cow protection. And Vanijam, commerce, doing business with products from the land and products from the cows, and go to the marketplace and sell things. That's the 3 occupations. So Balaram, he carries the plow. He does many things with his plow, many transcendental things. But the plow is used for agriculture. And Krishna uses his flute for tending the cows. He uses his flute for many other things too. There's a wonderful description of Krishna's flute, which is the topic for tonight. Wonderful description. If we have some time at the end, I'll tell you some of the wonderful things. But one of those wonderful things that Krishna does with cow protection is near the base of Nandagram, which is a hillock, on top of which is the palace of Nanda Maharaj. There's a grove of kadamba trees. It's still there, smaller than it was at that time, called Ter Kadamba. And Krishna, bringing the cows back to the pasturing ground, would climb up one of the kadamba trees, and from the top branches of the kadamba tree, he'd call with his flute the names of the groups of the cows in Nanda Maharaj's cows. You know how many cows he had? 900,000. And when the cows, they would wait to hear the sound of Krishna's flute calling their group, and when they heard, their ears would go up, and their tails would go up, and they would run. Have you ever seen a cow run? I've seen a cow run. It's kind of clumsy, but they know how to run. Usually there's really but sometimes cows run. And they would run, the sound of Krishna's flute. Just in ecstasy to hear the name of their group of cows. And if some cows were missing, Krishna knew. He had something like a little abacus. He would count all the 900,000 cows every day. And if there was a cow that was missing, he knew them each one by name with his flute. He would call them by name. And hearing their name from Krishna's flute, they would be in ecstasy and come running. In this way, one of the ways in which Krishna's wonderful flute was used in Goraksha, protection of cows. And he used his flute for many other things. When our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada established ISKCON, he created the name, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He created the acronym, because these days everything has to have an acronym, right? So ISKCON. And he incorporated, under the guidance of some lawyer in New York City, to how you legalize a worldwide organization in New York City. And according to the laws of New York, you have to give stated purposes. So the Attorney General of the state can review and see if it falls under the laws of the state, what you want to do, and purposes. So this was one of the purposes, stated in the Articles of Incorporation, July 1966, a few years ago. To propagate a consciousness of Krishna, as it is revealed in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So I've already mentioned the Bhagavad Gita verse, Janma Karma Chime Divyam. And then in Srimad Bhagavatam it gives details about the Divyam nature of Krishna's Janma and his activity we're going to hear. Specifically, from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, the message of Krishna's transcendental, mysterious activities and pastimes. So, this is going to require your attentiveness, because there's going to be parts of this. We're going to be discussing 5 verses of the prayers of Queen Kunti, who is going to explain the mystery of the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance. Now, she speaks, as one might expect a pure devotee to speak. She speaks in a mood of humility. She speaks as if she doesn't understand, but she actually understands. You'll see as things go along. She's humble and she's realized. So here's the first of the verses. This is text 30. We're going to cover 30 through 34, 5 verses. And it's singing responsively. Do we have a portable microphone? So the young devotees that are singing is from the Chicago Temple. Some of you will recognize the voice of Sri Rupa Dasi. And then she's got a chorus of other of her friends. And it's a nice musical presentation. So it'll be sung twice. You get a chance to respond. But a little hint, after she sings, you have to pause, because otherwise you mess up. We don't want that. So you'll see what I mean as we go on. Janma karma cha vishvatman ajasya katuratmana diryanyashishuyadasu tadatyanta pirambanam. Janma karma ajasya katuratmana diryanyashishuyadasu tadatyanta pirambanam. Janma karma cha vishvatman ajasya katuratmana diryanyashishuyadasu tadatyanta pirambanam. Janma karma cha vishvatman ajasya katuratmana diryanyashishuyadasu tadatyanta pirambanam. Kunti says, of course it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work, although you are inactive, and that you take birth, though you are the vital force in the unborn. You yourself descend amongst animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Barely, this is bewildering. So So, atyanta vidambanam. We're going to see this phrase again. Atyanta vidambanam. It's a mystery. It's bewildering. It's inconceivable. It's contradictory. He says it in Bhagavad Gita. He works, but he doesn't work. Chaturvarnamaya Shrishtam Gunakarma Vibhaga. Krishna created the Varnashram system, and yet, the very same verse he says, and yet I'm the non-doer. He does, but he doesn't do. And he's unborn, but he's born. And this is Adyanta Vidammanam. It's apparently contradictory, his pastimes. And it, by human capacity, that's specifically by the mind, it's inconceivable. Achintya is another of the Sanskrit words. Achintya is inconceivable. So inconceivable, the Upanishads are filled with it. I call it the Upanishadic double talk. He walks, he does not walk. He's very near, he's very far away as well. He's within everything, he's outside of everything. He's born and he's unborn. He has form and he is formless. So, computers, I'm not a computer person, but I know this much. Computers is a binary system. It's 1 and 0 in combination of 1s and 0s in different ways. And that's what computers are. It's a replica of the mind. It does what minds can do. Minds can do what the computer can do. You can say it either way. They're both binary processes. So on the one hand, and then on the other hand, and it's either this or that. We're in the room or we're outside the room. We can't be in the room and outside the room. Even if you're standing on the threshold, then you're not exactly in the room and not exactly out of the room. But Krishna can be inside of everything and outside of everything. He can be smaller than the smallest and bigger than the biggest, not vacillating back and forth between the two, but both at the same time. No problem. Young simultaneously. It's beyond a binary processor to even think, or to speak of understand. And therefore, when we hear these features of Krishna, they seem contradictory. Then in the previous verse, this is text 30, going back to text 29, speaking about the appearance of Krishna being partial, but he's impartial. No one knows the intentions of the Lord, who desires to hide himself in human form, who does not show favor or hatred to anyone, and about whom all men have different opinions. See, it's right in Bhagavad Gita. Name Vesho Stina Priyaha. Samaham Sarvabhuteshu Name Vesho Stina Priyaha. There's no one that I feel dvesha or priya towards. And in the very same verse, but those are my devotees, I feel special affection for them. It's confusing. Or what's he saying? I don't understand. It's inconceivable. Here's one clue, just to that particular verse. There's the Paramanda feature and there's the Bhagavan feature. There's some newer people that came, I don't know if they're still here. Paramanda is the form of the Lord of the heart. Krishna expands himself within every atom and within the heart of every living being, and in that position, he oversees material nature, Maya Yakshena Prakriti. In this way, he's equal to everyone, according to their karma. He gives whatever it is that is appropriate for their karma. He's neutral. Like, the example is a high court judge. One case that comes before the high court judge, somebody gets hanged. Next case, come before the High Court judge, somebody gets awarded $100,000. He's not partial towards one and impartial. He's impartial. The judge, a proper judge, is neutral. So as super soul, as Paramatma, he's neutral. And there are some who have the regard of affection for him out of love and service. Not just he's the master and the control of everyone and everything, but they want to be in loving service to him. And so he reciprocates with that loving service mood. And that's the Bhagavan feature. He reveals his Bhagavan feature to such persons who want to serve him out of love. And it's not a contradiction. It's not a contradiction. Just like in the world, supposing there's a High Court judge. And when he goes home, it's not like when he comes home, everybody in his home, rise, the judge has entered the home. That's not what happened in the home. I'm sure there's some other things that happen in the home. There's this nice story. I'm going to take a little bit longer this evening just to tell some stories. During the reign of Queen Victoria in England, there's a prime minister, and a story connected with the prime minister. The prime minister had an appointment. You know, it's not easy to get an appointment with the prime minister, and when it was the appointment time, the person was there on time, and the secretary said, "I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait, the prime minister is busy." Okay, so he doesn't see. They waited 15 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour passed, and the prime minister was still busy. So when the secretary wasn't looking, the person went right inside the chamber of the prime minister, and there he was, on his hands and knees with his grandson, on his back, whapping his backside, saying, "Get up, horsey." Because with his family, it's one thing, and with the state, it's another thing. And as that happens in this world, why not with the personality of God, that he has this formality as Paramatma, and this informality as Bhagavan? And those who approach him with love and affection, he shows his Bhagavan feature. It's the same entity, same person, supreme person. Different feature for different people. So one looks like he's neutral, and the other looks like he's partial. Vishwanath's commentary. Who will decide the truth about you if there's a disagreement? And his answer is, no one can decide, which is the purpose of these two verses. No, the next of the two verses is number 30, which we're discussing just now. You put two people together, and you're going to get two opinions, generally speaking. I mean, sometimes we agree on some things, and there's some things we disagree on. It happens. It's just the nature of life, or the mind. Even within ourselves, sometimes we disagree with ourselves. Sometimes. And sometimes those disagreements turn into conflict and worse. So Queen Kunti is speaking like this. The Lord is the all-pervading super soul of all existence. She gets it. She has that clear realization. But the bewildering part is, yet, he appears in the form of an animal. Like Lord Varaha. There's Lord Varaha carrying on his tusk the earth, rescuing the earth from the bottom of the Garbadak ocean, and with one of his hands smashing Hiranyaksha, or one of his hooves, because boars have hooves. Sometimes he appears in the form of a human being, like Rama, Krishna, etc. There's Krishna coming back at the end of the day, having taken the cows with the cowherd boys, and now he's returning to Vrindavan village, and there's the young gopis anticipating his return, and now they see him and their hearts are fluttering and feeling great joy and ecstasy. And amongst them all is, with the crown on her head, is Radharani. Sometimes he appears in the form of a rishi, like Narayana Rishi. Sometimes he appears in the form of an aquatic, like a fish. Yet he is unborn, and he has nothing to do. No one is equal to or greater than him. This is Vishwanath's commentary directly. Because he is inconceivably powerful, everything is possible in him. Therefore, no one can calculate him exactly. Having acknowledged all this, he can easily be understood by the pure devotees, like Kunti, because they are intimately related with him, like Kunti, by family relation and by devotion, both. Now this is text 30, his paraphrasing. O soul of universe, you are unborn and perform no actions, but you take birth and perform activities in the forms of animals, men, and aquatics. This is extremely deceptive. This is atyanta vidambanam, that phrase. Understanding the conclusions about your partiality or impartiality, that's text 29. Your action or lack of action, your birth or lack of birth, one can relish your pastimes. When you understand, to some degree at least, the mystery, the divyam nature of Krishna's jnana and karma, then it just becomes a joyful experience to hear and remember and describe. You are unborn, though you are unborn, and perform actions, though you are not the doer. You manifest your attractive nature in various forms of animals, humans, and aquatics. This is an extreme deception, atyanta vidambana, since it appears that you lessen your stature by accepting inferior forms. And some people, not uncommon, to think this way. Oh, he appears as a boar, yuck, or a fish, or a tortoise, or some other feature, that he appears and it's diminishing his status, something inferior. But then Vishwanath writes, when you accepted the boar incarnation, you sniffed out the earth. Though you are omniscient and omnipotent, you became a real boar. But seeing that form, the knowers of the truth will not laugh and say that you are simply a mortal animal, thinking that you are jiva, under the control of karma. No. Since you are actually without birth and material action, your pastimes with birth and action must not actually be true. But this is incompatible with the fact that the pastimes were attractive to Atmaramas like Shukadeva. It's an important message, because the Atmarama verse in the Bhagavatam, it's a very important verse, a famous verse. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya gave 61 different explanations of that verse. Atmaramas cha munayo nirgranta api arukrame. The Shukadeva Swami specifically was beyond any material attraction. He was fully Brahman realized. Nothing material had any attraction to him at all. But he was attracted to the pastimes of Krishna. So what does it say? The pastimes of Krishna are not material. The pastimes of Krishna are not material. He's not interested in fiction, Harry Potter or something. He's interested in Sat. He's interested in truth, reality, Krishna Tattva. But it's not material, and it's not imaginary. However, from the statement of the Lord himself, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yogeti tattvataha. He who knows the true nature of my birth and activities, the Lord's birth and activities are factual, not a fiction. This is incompatible with the statement the Lord has no birth and no activities. It seems to be a contradiction, yes? Thus, who can know the truth about the Lord? Possessing unlimited, inconceivable powers. That's the essence of what Kunti is saying in this first verse. Now we're ready for the next one.
Yashlokasya kirtaye yadopriyasya bhavaye madayasya vachandana Kirchidavuracham jatam Yashlokasya kirtaye yadopriyasya bhavaye madayasya vachandana Kirchidavuracham jatam Yashlokasya kirtaye yadopriyasya bhavaye madayasya vachandana Kirchidavuracham jatam Yashlokasya kirtaye yadopriyasya bhavaye madayasya vachandana.
Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings. And others say that he is born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as Sandalwood appears in the Malay Hills. So the upper right, that's pious king, forms of the Lord sometimes appear in lineage of kings, sometimes in lineage of brahmanas, also commonly. And he appears, this Punya Shloka, you'll see in a moment, this is a name by which Yudhishthira was known when he was present. And therefore Kunti knew Punya Shloka meant Yudhishthira. So he meant Krishna, the unborn, appeared for the glorification of such persons, pious kings like Yudhishthira. Because otherwise, we wouldn't know anything like Yudhishthira today, except he was Krishna's cousin, and he ruled under Krishna's arrangement. So similarly, King Yadu, in the Yadu dynasty, one of Krishna's dearmost devotees. So we know about King Yadu because of Krishna's presence in them, presence in his lineage, just like the Malay Hills. Now, can sandalwood grow in other places? Absolutely. But there's an abundance. The Malaya Hills are famous because of Malaya Chandan. I'm born in America, and I heard of Malaya Chandan before I knew anything about Krishna consciousness. You hear about sandalwood, it's Malayan sandalwood. Although not all sandalwood is from Malaysia, or the Malaya Hills. That's an image right from the internet of the sandalwood trees. And so he appeared as the son of Nanda and Yashoda will see shortly. Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur comments, there are many opinions about the cause of your appearance. Here, Punya Shloka refers to Yudhishthira, since he was famous by that name at that time. So, of course, this is Yudhishthira, and there's 5 brothers. Everybody knows who that is, with a big club. Bhima. And Arjuna over here, and of course, Nakula and Sahadeva, the twins. So he appeared for the satisfaction, glorification of his pious kings, and Yadu, because the Yadu dynasty was situated in Dwarka, and here's Narada Muni visiting Dwarka, and he was amazed not only at the opulence of 16,000 palaces and the fact that Krishna had expanded himself into each of those palaces simultaneously, enjoying with each of the 16,000 queens and 10 sons by each simultaneously. But amazing, the description is there in the Bhagavatam. When he went from place to place, it was different times of the day, at the same time of the day. Time is very flexible in the spiritual world for the satisfaction of Krishna. Some place he was rising in the morning, some place he was attending the assembly in the Royal Assembly Hall. Sometimes he was with his children in the evening, telling stories. Sometimes he was taking rest in the afternoon, after his midday meal. Sometimes something different in each palace at different times of the day. Very, very flexible. The Yogamaya potency acts to make it possible for Krishna to do whatever he wants at any time, without any difficulty. So he's known by different names, such as Yadava, Yadavira, Yadunandana, glorifying King Yadu. Here's a beautiful painting of Krishna's entering into Dwarka. Here's a painting of palaces in Dwarka, although it's a little mysterious. Looks like a waterfalls, and Dwarka is in the middle of the ocean, an island in the ocean. Anyways, artists. Lord Sri Krishna is just like the sandalwood. But Krishna is like the sandalwood, and the Malaya hills is like those families in which Krishna appeared. So the families become famous because of Krishna's presence, just like the hills become famous because of the sandalwood grown in those hills. And so, some examples. One of Krishna's names is the chariot driver of Arjuna. Kunti, another name of Kunti is Pritha, and the son of Pritha is Partha, and Parthasarathi is the chariot driver of Arjuna. So Arjuna becomes famous because Krishna was his chariot driver. Or Nanda and Yasoda, because Krishna appeared as their son. Nanda Nandana, Yasoda Nandana. They become famous because Krishna's appearing in their family. Now we're ready. Let's see what happens with the sound system. Get ready for anything.
Apare vasudevasya devakyam vyachito vyaghat ajastvamasya chimaya adhaya chasuradvisham.
Apare vasudevasya devakyam vyachito vyaghat ajastvamasya chimaya adhaya chasuradvisham.
Apare vasudevasya devakyam vyachito vyaghat अजस्त्वमस्य क्षेमाया वधाय च सुरदृशाम्
Others say, there's differences of opinion, right? Others say that since both Vasudeva and Devaki prayed for you, you have taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly, you are unborn, yet you take your birth for their welfare and to kill those who are envious of the demigods. And so Krishna appeared as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki and is known by these names. When he appeared in the prison house, this is more like what a prison house looks like than the other thing. So when he appeared in the prison house, he said specifically, he addressed them after their prayers and said, I have appeared in this form just so that you will not be mistaken and think that I am your son. Hey, look at this. I'm the personality of Godhead. I'm not just your son. But 2 births ago, as Sutaka and Krishna, you underwent austerity for a long time, very difficult austerities, to have as your son a son like me. But who's like me? So I came myself. And as Sutava and Krishna, I came as Krishnagarbha. And as Kashyapa and Aditi, I came as Upendra. And now Vasudeva and Devaki appeared in this form. Vasudeva Krishna, with his forearms and the symbols of Vishnu. This term Krishnagarbha is used in the 2nd canto to indicate the very same name of Vishnu that Dhruva Maharaj saw is standing before him, as you see in this beautiful painting. And Vamana, or Upendra, appeared as the son of Kashyapa and Aditi. Then, of course, Krishna, or Vasudeva, appeared as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. But some say because they offered their prayers, you appeared. You were unborn, you took birth to reciprocate the love of your devotees. 2 more verses for the evening.
Aravataranaye Bhuvanavahivo dadhao Sidantya bhuri bharena Jato yatma bhuvardita
Pause.
Aravataranaye Bhuvanavahivo dadhao Sidantya bhuri bharena Sidantya bhuri bharena Jato yatma bhuvardita
Pause.
Sidantya bhuri bharena Jato yatma bhuvardita.
And there's another opinion. Others say that the world being overburdened like a boat at sea is much grieved, and that Brahma, who is your son, prayed for you. And so you appeared to diminish the trouble. There's this really amazing Those of you that like reading, I know some of you like reading. Those of you that like reading, there's a wonderful, long, lengthy, detailed explanation of Brahma, Canto 10, Chapter 14, is Brahma's prayers to Krishna after the stealing of the calves and the cowherd boys, the Brahma Vimohan Lila. He offers beautiful prayers, and in those prayers, he speaks. He's speaking to little Krishna. No, this pastime of Brahma Vimohan Lila is when he's still herding the calves. This means it's before he's 5 years old. Because when Krishna turned 5, he moved from herding the calves to herding cows. That's a long story. When he was 3, think of some child you know that's 3 years old. And when Krishna was 3 years old, he started herding calves. Because normally that doesn't happen, but he insisted. He wanted to herd the cows. And Nanda Maharaj said, well, let's make a deal. You can herd the calves, but you have to come back for lunch. For Krishna did. So when the stealing of the calves took place, he's not even 5 years old yet. So here's Brahma, the first creature of the universe, speaking to Krishna as his father. And Krishna says, my dear Brahma, please consider what you're saying. You're so much senior to me by years. Why are you addressing me as your father? So read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Brahma says, are you not my father? You are my father. Let me give the 3 reasons. And he gives them. It's a very elaborate description. Please read it. But I'm not going to go into it, so you'll be encouraged to read it yourself. But one of those is this one. Brahma is the son of Krishna, who is this little cowherd boy. And Brahma is the oldest creature in creation. Commentary says, Narayana, as Garbhadaksha Vishnu, without contact of Lakshmiji, begot Brahma. There he is. Garbhadaksha Vishnu, lying in the Garbhadak ocean that is half of each universe is filled with Garbhadak water, which comes from the body of Garbhadaksha Vishnu as he enters into each universe as hollow and half filled with Garbhadak water. And he's lying on an Antashesha, as you're seeing pictured here. And from his body, without the assistance of Lakshmi, he produces Lord Brahma. Here's a detail. That stem that comes from his navel, according to the scriptures, it's the sum total of the karma. The stem and the lotus upon which Lord Brahma appears is the sum total of the dormant karma that now has become awakened when the time of creation becomes manifest. And of all the souls that are within the stem, chief amongst them is Lord Brahma, and he's given a body by Garbhadaksha Vishnu. There's slow motion detailed description of that, but that's a fast motion principle description. So Brahma appears as the son of Garbhadaksha Vishnu, who is an expansion of Narayana, who is an expansion of Krishna. And Kunti understands all these things. It's a big mystery, but she understands it. A nice painting of Lord Brahma, along with Mother Earth in the form of a cow, and various demigods coming to the shore of the milk ocean. And the middle of the milk ocean is this Sweta Dweep, the island, the white island, upon which Shiradakshai Vishnu, the Paramatma feature of the Lord, is situated. In this material universe, there's one planet that isn't destroyed, but everything else is destroyed. It's right in Bhagavad Gita. Didn't give it by name, but that's the planet it is. The planet of Paramatma. It's Sweta Dweep. which has the milk ocean and the island upon which Lord Vishnu resides. He's not destroyed, and his abode is not destroyed at the time of creation. And the demigods went to the shore of that milk ocean, and they offered the Prusha Sukta prayers. Many of you, I'm sure, have heard of them. Very famous verses from Rig Veda. And they recited those verses, the Prusha Sukta verses, are glorifications of Lord Vishnu, describing the process of creation, the relationship of everything with the source, Vishnu. Right in Rig Veda. Very beautiful prayers. Very beautiful prayers. So hearing the prayers of the demigods, Krishna spoke, or Vishnu spoke, in such a way only Brahma could hear, and he said to Brahma, please tell the demigods they please me very much by their beautiful prayers, and very soon I will come to protect them. They should take birth on earth first in the family of the Yadu, Vrishni, and Bhoja dynasties. And so they did. And he appeared to respond to the prayers of Brahma. And this is the final verse that we'll be discussing. So let's see what happens with the sound system now.
Avisling Vishyamananam Avidya Kama Karma Bhi Shravana Smaranarhani Karishyanniti Kichana
Avisling Vishyamananam Avidya Kama Karma Bhi Shravana Smaranarhani
Avisling Vishyamananam Avidya Kama Karma Bhi Shravana Smaranarhani Karishyanniti Kichana
Avisling Vishyamananam Avidya Kama Karma Bhi Shravana Smaranarhani Karishyanniti Kichana.
This is the final of Kunti's prayers on this topic. And yet others say that you appeared for the sake of rejuvenating the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshipping, and so on, in order that the conditioned soul, suffering from material pangs, might take advantage and gain liberation. The painting here is a painting of Narayana in Vaikuntha, where he's being worshipped by pure devotees in love. Now, the process of reaching that wonderful position is described, of all people, by Yamaraj. These fellows down here, these are the Yamadutas. They're the agents of Yamaraj. You don't want to see those people. They're pretty scary. Prabhupada explained one of the verses of Bhagavad Gita says, Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Mahabhaya, the greatest fear, is seeing these fellows. Because they're very scary looking, and it means you're going to the bad place. Because before going to the bad place, you take before Yamaraj, who comes to understand the misdeeds you have done and awards you your next destination in the hellish planets. But those that have done even a little, svapam apyasya dharmasya, even, you will not have to see those fellows. But Ajamina saw those fellows because he was very sinful. And when Ajamila saw those fellows, the Yamadutas, he screamed the name of his son, Narayana. And he had named his son Narayana, according to our acharyas, because in his childhood, in his youth, and his young adulthood, he had engaged in some devotional service to Narayana. So Super Soul inspired him to name one of his sons Narayana. So when he saw the Yamadutas, it was, my dear son, Narayana. And the agents of Narayana came and stopped the Yamadutas. They said, what's this? Whoever stops death, who are you people? Anyways. And they said, we'll tell you who we are. But you say you're the representative of Yamaraj, you have to know what Dharma is, because he's Dharmaraj, and you're representing him. You're going to represent somebody, you have to know what that somebody has to say. So what's the principles of Dharma? They gave him a quiz. Who is to be punished and who is not to be punished? You give us, tell us what you know. They said something that sounded right. They said, oh, you go back to Yamaraj and go do your homework. You get an F on this exam. Because you're partially right, but in a very critical sense, when you call the name Narayana, he's freed from all the reactions, not only of this life as a Jamila, but unlimited lifetimes. You don't know that principle, you go back to Yamaraj and get some lessons. So he went back to Yamaraj and said, ¿Qué pasó? What's going on here? We thought, you're the Lord, because who can overcome death? Does that mean that there's two lords? That would be messy. So, what's the situation? Please explain to us. If you think they were qualified, they were like a little agitated initially, but then please explain. I'm not the Lord. There's one Supreme Lord, and all the great Mahajans, he lists them, 12 great authorities. They know the principles of Dharma, and the principles of Dharma are established by Bhagavan. Sakshat Bhagavan Pranitam. Dharmam tu Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. Dharma is established by Bhagavan, not by me. So, when we understand that, the Lord, out of his causeless mercy, because he is more merciful to the suffering living beings than they can expect, he appears before them and renovates the principles of devotional service. This is our last slide, and we're done. You'll be happy to know. This is Vishwanath's commentary on this verse. This is the real reason for the Lord's appearance. First, there's ignorance, avidya, and then desire, kama, and then action, karma vihi. You come to engage those suffering due to actions arising from material desires, which are due to ignorance, in actions for attaining prema. The destruction of suffering is incidental, because it is said in the next verse that the result of hearing about the Lord is seeing the lotus feet of the Lord. By seeing the Lord, one attains prema. So it all starts with ignorance. There's the ostrich sticking his head in the sand. You see some danger, so I've never seen an ostrich do that, but there's this expression in any case. Stick your head in the sand. So from ignorance then comes ignorant desire. And from ignorant desire comes fruit of activity. And from fruit of activity comes suffering. So what's the solution? Not to become desire-less, if you're Buddhist, that's what you think. But the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and Kunti are teaching, remove ignorance. And then removes ignorant desire, removes ignorant activity, removes suffering. But that's incidental. Once you remove ignorance, then you're opening the door for prema. And that's the gift of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the gift of prema. The gift of prema, which is far beyond eradication of suffering, far beyond that. And now, Vajra Purnima. The Krishna appears in this month, you mentioned. Balaram appears at the end of the month of Shravan, and the very next day begins the waning moon. And we're the 8th day of the waning moon in the month of Bhadra. And according to Srimad Bhagavatam, in the month of Bhadra, the Purnima at the end of this month is a very special day. Here's what it says in the 12th canto. If, on the full moon day of the month of Bhadra, one places Srimad Bhagavatam on a golden throne and gives it as a gift, he will attain the supreme transcendental destination. What's that? A place where there's no anxiety. And it's not Naperville. It's not Chicago. It's not the material world. It's the spiritual world, Vaikuntha. But one can be in Vaikuntha consciousness even in Naperville. If you become free from the covering of misidentification with what's not, the temporary, asat, and identify with sat. And how to get that identification with sat is through sound. This special gift of Srimad Bhagavatam is very, 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 very special, very powerful, very potent. Anyone that has immersed themselves in the message of Srimad Bhagavatam knows what I'm speaking about. And those that haven't, please immerse yourself in the message of Srimad Bhagavatam so you know what I'm speaking about. The message of Srimad Bhagavatam doesn't necessarily change the world around you, but it changes how you experience the world around you. Because inside, something awakens. Ignorance is diminished and eventually eradicated. But transcendental happiness awakens, the prema of hankering, seeing every situation of life, whether it's good, bad, or mixed. Life is filled with all of them, good, bad, and mixed. Good fortune, ill fortune, and mixed. Anywhere. Anywhere you go. Even in the heavenly planets, and anywhere you go, it's good fortune, ill fortune, and mixed. And it's all temporary. So, Bhagavatam awakens that higher consciousness, along with the chanting of the holy name. So we encourage all of you, please. I understand that there's this program of regularly reading Bhagavatam, reading a certain number of verses every day and things like that. And a lot of the members of this community are doing that. I'm sure you're experiencing, just under what I'm saying. If you already have a Srimad Bhagavatam in your home, two things. Please read it regularly. And make a gift to somebody or on behalf of somebody. You'll have a mother or father or a friend. And on behalf of your mother or friend, just leave it for now. You can, September 13th, there's probably going to be some kind of a ceremony here in the temple. And you can give as a gift on behalf of somebody to somebody. And then that somebody you're doing it on behalf of will provide the golden throne, don't worry. They will attain the supreme transcendental destination. So consider it. How many of you don't yet have Srimad Bhagavatam in your home? A few. Consider. And those of you that have Srimad Bhagavatam in your home, consider on behalf of somebody or other, donating, making a gift of Srimad Bhagavatam on their behalf to someone. They're available in all kinds of languages. Most of the languages of India, the Bhagavatam is available, full sets of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's even available in Chinese. Did you know that? The Chinese government is kind of like really on top of everything, including religion. So for a number of years, they studied Prabhupada's Bhagavatam from the BBT. The printing division of the government signed a contract with BBT to print Srimad Bhagavatam. That was some years ago. So you can purchase from that printing company that you, but people that speak Chinese can purchase from the government Srimad Bhagavatam in Chinese. That's pretty mysterious. One of Krishna's mysterious pastimes. But far easier is Hindi, Tamil, and Telugu, and Bengali, and this and that. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Hare Krishna. Can you please all wait for just a very short few minutes? I have a quick announcement, following which I will be requesting Gopalji Prabhu to make an announcement about Srimad Bhagavatam. He has some special offer going. So the past 2 days, we had few thousands of people here in this temple, and most of you were here. There were hundreds of volunteers, both from the devotee community and the extended community, who rendered so much of services. I'm very briefly going to say we are very grateful for all the services that you have rendered. We will be doing a special volunteer recognition program another day, and we will let all of you know. So once again, thank you all for your wonderful services. Today's Sunday feast is sponsored by 3 families. Krishna Aditya is celebrating his 8th birthday, and Shyam Prabhu and Reena are sponsoring Sunday feast. Is there a gift for him? Prasadam gift. Can you get that? And he can receive it from adult. Can some adult bring it here? Please.
Your 8th birthday? You're tired, huh?
Okay, Krishna. And Mahati and Kirti, Kirti Prabhu are celebrating their wedding anniversary. Are they here?
Yeah, Kirti.
And Dave Iyer and family, they are celebrating their daughter Tanya's birthday. So for the spiritual growth and well-being of these families, kindly chant after me: Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama Rama,
Rama Rama,
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
One more quick thing, that today is the last day this year. We have Shri Radha Shyam on the altar. So we will be closing the curtains around 8 o'clock, and they will be going back, as they have been resting here for 7 years or so. And After that, after dressing, we will be opening the curtain very briefly. So we request all of you to be here to sing their glories. With that, I'm going to pass the mic to Vamshidari Prabhu. He's going to tell you the offer he has on Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you all.
Hare Krishna. I don't know if I can really say offer because it is Bhagavatam. It is priceless. But I just want to say that we have table downstairs. Whoever doesn't have it and whoever has it, please come sign up there. But I want to just say that it's a very auspicious occasion today, Janmashtami, and Maharaj is also here. So if any of you would like to invite Bhagavatam today, please take this opportunity to receive on the hands of Maharaj. So just keeping it short. Please take this opportunity and so this Bhagavatam is like, what do you say, it is encyclopedia, Vedic encyclopedia. It comes in 18 books. It's very fascinating. It's a story in the form of a story, Purana. So the printing cost of it and shipping cost, it both together comes to $250. And then anything more than that is a donation. So feel free from your heart. It's a welfare work. It's not a marketing or a selling event, something like that. So please use some space in your house. If you already have it, please provide opportunity to your friends and relatives to have it at their house as the first step. And the mercy starts flowing from there. Okay? And there is no hard constraints in the finance. There is installments, you take car, check, etc. But take the opportunity to have Bhagavatam in your house and your friend's house. Thank you. So just a quick hand. Any of you would like to receive today? Yes, set or more than a set. If you have, do so. Otherwise, please take this opportunity that day. So please see us downstairs at the Hare Krishna.